let's do the work. Get the word out, let's do all the work. If they don't accept a hire, leave them in the dirt. We just call that doing the work. Doing the work. Doing the work. Yeah, doing the work. Doing the work. Throw a rock, let's do the work. Get the word out, let's do all the work. If they don't accept a hire, leave them in the dirt. We just call that doing the work. Doing the work. Doing the work. Yeah, doing the work. Doing the work.
Shalom, 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 and welcome back again to another edition of NFNC Sunday Rap Session. I am Okoti Tamar, and you're now viewing News, Facts, and Comments in conjunction with Major TV, and we're here to bring you the news. We have a lot to talk about today. A lot of headlines once again came across my desk, and I feel compelled to share it with you, my people. So I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, sharing the video, liking the video in advance. And then if you don't like what I said, you can go back and put a thumbs down. Either way, show your support. I want to know how you feel. As usual, we always appreciate your comments. Let us know you're in the building. Shouts out to everybody that's joining us in the chat. I appreciate your loyalty to the channel and wanting to be here to get information that you can use in your life and be aware of those things that's going on in the world. So we have a lot to talk about. You seen the thumbnail. We have more stories other than what's in the thumbnail. Just want to say in advance, we're going to have a special report from Major TV Let's Talk, doing a response to a response to a response. Yesterday was absolutely crazy. So we're going to welcome him in during the second half of the broadcast. And I want you guys to stick around to hear his response because things were moving really, really fast yesterday. And I want to make sure that he has an opportunity to express himself. For those who have not seen his response, he's going to be here to give a response to his response. I think I said that already. But let's go. Let's kick it off with the news. In this week's episode, we're going to learn why people were brawling out in Hinds County, Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to talk about Shelia Jackson Lee in her mayoral race in Houston, Texas. We're going to talk about Sacramento, California having a problem with Target gift cards. We're going to talk about Dana Elmore placed on administrative leave for tasing his brother who was changing a tire. We're going to talk about her and why she has not been arrested. We're going to try to see if we can get some updates on that. We're going to move really fast, but what I want y'all to know is that all these stories that I'm going to bring to your attention today, of course, is always found at News, Facts, and Comments That's newsfactsnc.net on the web. Check out all the stories. We're constantly updating stories throughout the week, and especially make sure that we bring the latest breaking news for this Sunday rap session. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and mosey on and get this party started with our first story. And I do believe it is the story about the brawl in Jackson, Mississippi. So, not quite sure if you guys are aware. You're about to be aware now because I'm about to tell you that a young lady by the name of Latasha Coleman has been missing since July. And on this past week, the family came to the courthouse, I guess looking for answers. But let's go ahead and listen to the video that was broadcast this week in regards to the fight that broke out at the courthouse.
That's right. It was a wild scene. One woman hit so hard she left with a bloody nose. Deputies quickly jumping in to haul people off to jail. A shocking scene on the steps of the Hinds County Courthouse. Two families brawling after a contentious court hearing. The fisticuffs started inside the courthouse, hitting, kicking, and punching spilled outside. Hinds County Supervisor David Archie even stepping in to try to cool boiling tempers.
We are missing Latasha.
The Thursday fracas apparently started after County Court Judge Johnny McDaniels dismissal for Derek Coleman's conviction for violating a protective order. Coleman was to have no contact with his wife, Crump Coleman. Mrs. Coleman was reported missing almost 5 months ago. Her family believes her estranged husband may be involved in hearings. Police Chief Joe Wade says they're not ruling out anyone as a suspect. The chief says Coleman's name has been high on their radar. Chief Wade says they've conducted large searches and even reached out to the FBI. So far, they have no new leads. Before the hearing, Coleman was already in jail for violating conditions of his bond. Court officials say his wife's relatives may have lashed out. They misunderstood and thought the dismissal of his appeal meant Coleman would be released. Now, those 5 people who were taken away in handcuffs, they will face disorderly conduct charges. They're expected to go before a judge first thing in the morning. For now, we're live at the Hinds County Courthouse. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
So that was a clear case of people's emotions getting out of control. Now the family, definitely is upset. They probably know a lot of history that took, transpired between the two couples, the Latasha Coleman and her estranged husband, boyfriend, whatever the case may be, estranged husband, Derek Coleman, right? So the emotions is running high because they probably know a lot of the background history between the two. But I'm going to just remind my people that, is a time and place for everything. And at the courthouse with all the deputies there, probably was not a good time to let your flesh take over your spirit. It kind of diminished the whole point of pressing the law enforcement to actually do something in relation to finding out if Mr. Derek Coleman was responsible for the disappearance of his wife. I want to pray that she is found safe. And, I'm going to continue to pray for the family that they find justice and discover where their loved one is in this hour. We have so many of our women coming up missing. So when you have family that, is that upset about one particular person, kind of rules out all the other nefarious situations we find with sex trafficking and people coming up missing because they've been put into the sex trafficking game. That by the outbreak of the family and the high emotions that was running with the family, I tend to think that this is not a case of a missing person because of sex trafficking. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Once again, check out all our stories on newsfactsnc.net. The next story. A shooting spree shooter arrested. Now I don't know if y'all know, but this guy here, 34-year-old former Army infantry officer was identified Wednesday morning as a suspect in a Central Texas shooting rampage that unfolded over hours in two large cities and left his parents and 4 other people dead and 3 people injured, including 2 police officers, authorities said. This is the guy right here. All right. Austin police investigators strongly believe the suspect, Shane James, is connected to the violent string of incidents in Austin that unfolded over a span of 8 hours on Tuesday. James was being held Wednesday without bail on a charge of capital murder, authorities said, adding that more charges were pending. Interim Police Chief Robin Henderson said the chain of events occurred at 4 different locations in the state capitol on Tuesday and 1 near San Antonio. She said the deadly crime spree began in Austin Tuesday morning with the shooting of an Austin Independent School District police officer near Northeast Early College High School, prompting a lockdown of the school. Based on the information obtained over the course of these investigations, we strongly believe one suspect is responsible for all of the incident, Henderson said at a news conference. The 2 victims found dead at a home near San Antonio Tuesday night were James's parents, 56-year-old Shane James Sr. and 55-year-old Phyllis James. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar said at a news conference on Wednesday afternoon. Henderson said investigators didn't connect the series of episodes until the final one occurred around 7 p.m. Tuesday when an Austin officer was wounded in a gunfight with the suspect in the backyard of a home where 2 people were later found dead inside. Henderson said the wounded officer, a 12-year veteran of Austin Police Department, responded to the residents in Southwest Austin after a 911 caller reported a burglary in progress at the location. So the officer went into the backyard of the home, encountered the suspect, who immediately opened fire, hitting the officer multiple times. She said the officer suffered non-life-threatening injuries, returned fire, but missed the assailant, who ran to the vehicle and fled the scene. Other officers chased the suspect, who crashed at an intersection and was taken into custody. Now, my people, he shot a police officer and he was taken into custody. So he lives. He lives to see another day. I'm just going to say this. If he maybe was of my skin hue, I don't know if he would have been taken into custody. I think that we will be talking about some, the shooter died from police inflicted gunshot wounds. I'm just saying, but he was taken into custody even after killing a police officer. Next story that you can find on newsfactsnc.net. The U.S. military went woke. Time to make changes at the top. The war in Ukraine and Israel's response to the October 7 terrorist attack signal a worldwide turn around from U.S. leadership. While direct involvement in either conflict seems unlikely, U.S. troop deployments to the Middle East continue, and 2 U.S. carrier strike groups have formed a naval bubble around Israel. The Marine Corps Central Command even concealed its heralded Marine Corps ball due to operational commitments. Heightened tensions come as the window of American leadership and accompanying global stability appears at risk of closing. Domestic instability among our European allies has compromised their ability to contribute to wars in their own backyard. Wise or not, every significant rival of America judges now to be a good time to test. Now would be a good time to test American leadership. Russian aggression in Ukraine, China posturing towards Taiwan, and Iranian attacks on American signal the deterrent power of the American military is not what it once was. As the Biden administration fumbles, the rest of the world is turning against and away from America. Conservatives must lead a refounding of American military to embrace the possibility that war may be on the horizon. Too often, Americans hear a bipartisan chorus declaring the military a melting pot, a mirror, or a civilian society. Even this vein of rhetoric, the military's purpose is to reflect the country's demographic trends and has hospitable to the de rigueur concept of civil rights. The U.S. Air Force selects officers based on race and sex-based quota system for officer applicants, an affirmative action program that would make the Ivy League blush. In August, the U.S. Army Special Operations Command released a report on women in combat, not to analyze the effectiveness of Army Special Operation Forces, but to excoriate itself for supposed persistent bigotry. Whatever that means. Bottom line is your sons and your daughters may be going off to war due to the heightened situation in Palestine. And I'll have more on the situation with Palestine in just a few minutes. But let's move on to other U.S. news. Shelia Jackson Lee, now she's a congressperson. She was running for mayor of Houston, Texas, and was defeated by a Republican opponent. Longtime Democratic Houston Congresswoman Shelia Lee was defeated in the city's mayoral race Saturday night by Democratic State Senator John Whitmer. I'm sorry, he was a Democrat. John Whitmer. After serving in Congress for almost 3 decades, Jackson Lee entered the Houston mayoral race in March. Whitmer's campaign centered on combating crime and community, and it outspent his opponents, the Associated Press reported. The two were the final contenders in Saturday's runoff election. There were nearly 20 declared candidates in the November 7th general election. Goodness gracious, 20 candidates for mayor. I don't know if y'all are still participating in these elections, but 20 candidates for the job of Houston must be some lucrative money over there. Jackson Lee's bid was overshadowed by a workplace scandal in October. Then it was revealed that Jackson Lee had been recorded verbally abusing her staff, calling them F-ups, in a heated exchange with a male staffer who was not able to answer questions she had about upcoming event. In the tape, Jackson Lee could be heard asking for details of an upcoming event organized by Ovid Duncatel, founder of the Black Heritage Society. You took a piece of paper from that woman regarding something that was owned by Duncatel. Where is it? What date was it? Jackson Lee asked the male staffer, according to the audio obtained by Texas news outlet Current Revolt. The man responded by saying he gave the document to someone named Jerome, presumably another staff member. Jackson Lee then interjected as the staff member said he would call Jerome to find out what she wanted. Now, I don't know if all that workplace stuff had anything to do with Miss Lee losing that mayoral race, but I would like to know from you all, do you think that she really stood a chance, being is that she's been getting pushed back from the Black community for years for doing nothing, being a member of the Congressional Black Caucus and putting forth no substantial bills to help advance the cause of the Black American, so-called African American community. She has done absolutely nothing. So I don't blame the people in Houston for rejecting her. Unfortunately, some skin folk, we are ashamed to say, is kinfolk, right? All right, so let's move on to Miss Dana Elmore. I'm sure you guys have seen the video circulating on social media regarding this beast named Dana Elmore, a female police officer in Pickens County, Alabama. Oh, Alabama. Man, I think they have. I think they must be feeling having a bone to pick ever since the Alabama brawl broke out in August, right? Because Alabama and these cops have been in the news repeatedly since then. But let's continue. Alabama has been placed on it. She's in Alabama and Pickens County in Alabama and has been placed on administrative leave after a viral video showed the cop tasing a black man in the back who was already handcuffed and not resisting. The video begins with the officer ordering handcuff 24-year-old Michael Washington from nearby Tuscaloosa to the front of a patrol car. As he leans on the hood, Elmore holds her taser gun to his back, ordering him to stay still. I ain't done shit. I ain't doing shit, bruh. Washington responds. The officer shouts, "Oh yeah," as she reveals a gun next to him that he appears to admit belonged to him. Washington turns his head toward the woman, asking, "What are you saying, oh yeah, for?" Then she responds, "Shut the F up." She continues tasing him for at least 10 seconds. Washington then begins to cry from the pain while the Alabama cop uses profane language. "You want it again? Shut the F up. You was a big and bad. Shut your B ass up." A change.org petition posted Monday seeks Elmore's firing, and rightfully so. According to relatives, Washington and his little brother his little brother recorded the viral video. Were trying to fix their flat tire. The petition refers to Elmore as the deputy sheriff. This young man was merely trying to fix a flat tire on the side of the Tuscaloosa, Alabama back road in broad daylight and got profiled for being suspicious. The petition states, "This demented behavior against Black people by police officers is popular in southern United States of America, and there are deep remnants of unjust racial discrimination. There needs to be more light shed on the deep racism that still flows through America's southern states." The petition added, "This is why we should not be fighting amongst each other, because we have enough enemies out there already doing us harm." And she should not be on administrative leave, and she should be fired. If anyone knows that she's already been fired, please put that in the chat. Let me know. Comment straight away to let me know that she's been fired, because she really needs to be fired. This is what you call cruel and unnecessary punishment, right? Just a heathen behavior that is just reprehensible. Freaking demons is what they have on the police forces involved in law enforcement in this hour. Pay attention, you guys. Protect yourself and your family, because they don't really care about us. We have to care for each other. All right. So here we go. Now, you seen how this man was changing his tire and was accosted and tased. Well, in this story, you're going to see how the police negotiate for a shooter to only get months in jail. Let's get into this story. A Texas man has been sentenced to 2 years in federal prison after prosecutors said that he fired multiple rounds at local law enforcement, despite initially agreeing to surrender for participating in the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol attack in Washington. Nathan Pelham, 41, on Wednesday was sentenced to 24 months and 76 days of credit for time served after pleading guilty to possessing a firearm as a felon during the April shooting at his Greenville home. Coleman was facing 4 misdemeanor counts of entering the Capitol, charges that were later reduced as a part of a plea deal when authorities said he opened fire on law enforcement who were responding to a welfare check at his residence. Nathan Coleman, hold up, let's get his face, get this beast's face back on the screen. Was sentenced on Wednesday to 2 years after pleading guilty to possession of a firearm as a felon. United States v. Coleman. Pelham's father had called police to report that his son was threatening to kill himself. This threat followed Pelham's previously agreeing to surrender to the misdemeanor charges that day. Responding law enforcement officers reported hearing bullets whiz by them outside his home. In a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Texas, a later search of his property recovered a Smith & Wesson 9mm pistol and 4 boxes of ammunition. Police also found several 9mm size holes in the walls, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. For their own safety, police left the property that night and let Coleman sleep off his drinking. Prosecutors said. More than 24 hours later, Coleman surrendered at a local police station following negotiations with police and his defense attorney. Prosecutors said he gets to live. You got one brother just, I ain't gonna even go there. He gets 2 years for actually firing his weapon. He gets 2 years. But we have our brothers in the community that simply pointed a flashlight that was attached to a gun on top of a building, and he gets 7 years. And for all those who say racism doesn't exist in this country, bigotry is not prevalent in this country, I would say to your face, you're a lie. Continuing. Another newsfactsnc.net story we pulled up. Washington faces a UN showdown over fresh resolution for Gaza ceasefire. Israel-Gaza war. The Biden administration faces a showdown at the UN Security Council in the next 48 hours, and this was posted last week, at which it may feel impelled to use its veto to protect Israel by rejecting calls for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. How is a ceasefire so that humanitarian aid can go into Gaza and supply those people with the things that they need? How is that protecting Israel when Israel is in control of everything? And for all accounts, which we'll talk about in a minute, they're winning. Innocent people are dying, but they're winning. So why do they need more protection? They don't. Does Biden administration care if these people have water, have food, have medical attention? I thought he said all lives matter, right? The United Arab Emirates, the only Arab country on the 15-strong Security Council, said it would table a resolution on Thursday for debate on Friday after the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and most Islamic states called for a ceasefire. The UN's humanitarian chief Martin Griffiths said promising signs had emerged from talks with Israeli officials about the opening of the Karim Shalom crossing for the inspections of aid convoys heading into Gaza. Under one version of the plan, inspected aid would then be transported to the Rafah crossing on the Egypt-Gaza border. The use of Karim Shalom between Israel and Gaza only for the inspection and clearance of aid would stop short of the UN's repeated call for crossing crossing to be open for the transport of aid. But Griffin said the move would be a huge boost since with more inspection capacity, the flow of cleared aid into Gaza would be increased. Okay, so why do we have to clear the aid? We want to make sure that the people who are sending in the aid don't have bombs. I'm not quite sure. They're regulating what type of aid these people get. I would think that, if it's been declared by the United Nations that this is a humanitarian crisis, then all aid would be accepted. So Israel is determining what kind of aid they get. Still, the oppression persists over there in Gaza. But the debate is not only at the Congress level here in the U.S., not only at the UN level over there. UN, the UN Council, they meet in New York, right? But they represent a lot of countries, right? With the 5 big countries ruling and having control and having veto power, such as Biden has already said that he will implement, right? But it's also causing a big divide. The Palestinian conflict war in Gaza is causing a big divide also on Twitter. White supremacists on Twitter, fiery tensions related to the crisis in the Middle East are worsening in the United States as Israel wages its war on Hamas, and white nationalists are flocking to the internet to exploit them. Protests have erupted throughout the nation as pro-Palestinian demonstrators call for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, where a week-long ceasefire collapsed Friday following Hamas and Israel's exchange of more than 100 Israeli hostages, the majority of whom were seized during the militant group daily October 7 attack, and more than 200 Palestinian prisoners in Israel, thousands of whom have been imprisoned for years, were released. The crisis has also sparked a rise in anti-Muslim, anti-Arab, and anti-Semitic incidents of bias and hate, leaving members of the communities reeling. Everybody has been affected, whether it's personally affected by incidents in our communities, in our schools, and around our places of worship, or that which has been experienced by a friend or a community member or a family member, Haley Safer, the CEO of the Jewish Democratic Council of America, told Salon. Safir exclaimed that she's mostly seen hateful anti-Semitic rhetoric fueled by the war crop online alongside a rise in vitriol targeting her organization. So they're saying that it's white supremacists that are hailing these vitriol statements, comments, showing that their disdain for Israel, refusal to adhere to a ceasefire. Now, I know some of you are immediately saying, this ain't got nothing to do with us. What's going over there in Gaza, in the Palestinian plight, and the Israelis beating up on these people don't have nothing to do with us. But all on the contrary, my friends, I have done some extensive research on the Palestinian conflict, and on Monday night on News, Facts, and Comments, I will premiere my findings. So you can join me for that premiere on Monday night, and I'm going to show you 3 reasons why our community, when I say our, I mean in the Black community, so-called African American community, should be concerned in watching what's going on in Palestine. I promise you, you don't want to miss this information. It's going to air at 7 p.m. on News, Facts, and Comments. If you haven't already subscribed to News, Facts, and Comments on YouTube, please do so. Please join us as we break it all down and we get a better understanding why we should at least be paying attention and stop with the rhetoric it doesn't affect us. I'm going to show you why it affects each and every one of us on Monday at 7 p.m. News, Facts, and Comments. That's 7 p.m. Central Time. Woo! So that's the first segment of our broadcast. I'm going to go ahead and take a break, get a little drinky drink. And while we do that, we want to play this commercial from our brother Y2 Kenyon, who's continuing the efforts to secure legal funds for our brother Othal Wallace. Let's watch this latest video from Brother Ken.
Hey, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing? I wanted to come to y'all. I wanted to thank y'all for being with me and ask for y'all to continue to support me through PLAP. And I just want to let y'all know it's a great organization, not only just to help me, but for in the future to help other people in situations like mine. I want to let y'all know that the appeal process is going through right now. I just need y'all to continue to support the push through otu.org. I love y'all, and shalom. Be good.
All right, family. So we're back. As usual, go to othel.org. Go to othel.org to donate. The struggle continues. Do not forget about our brother Othel. By no means. You see there down at the bottom, you can go to othel.org to donate. The struggle and the resistance continues, and our brother is looking good, but we much prefer him to be back home with us and, most importantly, with his children. So continuing with the news, let's make sure everything is good. I'm going to run through these stories right quickly. So Somali families in St. Louis Park push to let children opt out of reading LGBTQ books. Now, I don't know if you all know that there's been a massive push throughout the country to get certain books banned from the libraries in the schools and from the curriculum, particularly pertaining to LGBTQ and, most importantly, Black history. It amazes me how they always tie LGBTQ with African Americans. Now, this Somali family is saying that they want to be able to know in advance when their children are going to be exposed to LGBTQ curriculum being taught to them as low as elementary school. Now, we ain't talking about high school. We're talking about elementary school children being introduced to curriculum regarding the LGBTQ lifestyle. And the Somali families are saying, wait, hold up. We as parents want to know when you're introducing this to our children, number one. And number two, we want our children to be able to opt out of such curriculum. I'm not quite sure if you all are aware of this agenda that's going on to force this lifestyle onto the children, to be able to force them to be, I guess, get used to having gay people around, or, because they are part of society, true enough. But it's almost beginning to feel like LGBTQ is no longer the minority. They represent the majority, and heterosexuals and heterosexual ran families are now being looked at as the minority. And at the same time, parental rights are being eroded. So I'm going to share with you about the one book that one of the Somali families said that they, absolutely said, no, I don't want my children to be learning about this. So one book, Our Subway Baby, tells the story of how a man and his husband adopted a baby together. Another picture book, Hoanani Hulu Warrior, describes a genderqueer child who wants to join a boys only hula troop. The books are a part of a new literacy curriculum that launched in the fall, which was designed to include more LGBTQ plus stories, as well as more diversity in race, culture, and language. You see, when I tell you that critical race theory bullcrap went too far, a theory is different from history. History should be taught to our children. The real theory is that LGBTQ plus stories is needed for elementary school children in order for them to acclimate into a society where homosexuals are free to have all the rights afforded to them as were given to our ancestors who died and fought for civil rights. I want y'all to understand what's really going on. They're using the civil rights movement, the right to, for their LGBTQ agenda, and they're forcing it on our children without our consent. The letter goes on to say that several parents spoke out about their concerns in early October and submitted an exemption request citing school board policy, which allows students to be excused from participating in controversial issues upon a parent's request. However, the parents were told that the material were a part of the curriculum and opting out would not be possible. Peer indoctrination is what's happening in our schools today. This is why it is very important that we have our own schools, that we continue to seek out those who are doing homeschooling. People say what they want to say about Dr. Umar Johnson, but at least he had a vision to say, hey, we need to be teaching our own children. It's a brick and mortar school, and I do believe that he's trying to have it so that if they have online courses so that you can do homeschooling through his online courses. Zynex Institute in New York, that's a STEM program school, a STEM targeted school, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's another school that provides online schooling for our children. And please believe, these are ran by African Americans, Blacks, for us, by us. We must understand that it's now time, high time, to wean our children from public schools that's so corrupt and start educating our own. That way we won't have to be concerned about them forcing the agenda on our children. Next story. Related to Palestine, a man was arrested after shots fired outside an Albany, New York synagogue. They fire shots, they fire their weapons, and they're arrested. They're not killed by the police. They're just arrested and taken into custody. Now we say we want justice, right? We want justice, right? But it always appears that when the people of the other nations are out here committing horrendous crimes, deadly crimes, that they get to stand up in court and tell their side and defend themselves and everything like that. But the majority of us, when we're involved in these crimes, we're not able to live to tell our side of the story. That's why it's very important to support Othel Wallace, because he was accosted by police and he was able to live. He saved his own life and he told his story and he's able to live. But now the fight continues because the brother is innocent of the charges, and he's on appeal to have those manslaughter charges reduced. But these people do these horrendous shootings at police officers and whatnot, and they live to see another day. A man was arrested Thursday afternoon after he allegedly fired off a shotgun in the parking area of an Albany, New York synagogue, Governor Kathy Hochul said. The FBI identified the suspect in Thursday's incident as Mufai Fawaz Al-Hader, who is being charged with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. That's it? That's the only charge he get? What? Possession of a firearm? And he fired the gun? What about reckless use of a gun? I'm just saying, what about that charge? I'm just saying. Now, this is a sad story that came across my desk. Roderick Jackson, I'm asking you all to pray for the family, for their strength, and the Most High, accepts his soul and spirit. From what I've heard, that he was a beautiful person. We give you the shirt off his back. So it says his Roderick Jackson, national grid worker, killed by a Waltham crash, remembered as the heart of this family. I think this is the video. I'm gonna let me show this video. See here. I'm gonna back it up. Yeah, this is the video. Back it up. And
the national grid worker who was killed tells us he was the heartbeat of their family. WBC continues our team coverage live in Waltham tonight. Christina, it's heartbreaking to see that family today, so devastated as they left the court.
Yeah, David, and this is where it all happened. This is where the workday started for that crew and police officer. We've heard from other utility workers today who say every time they go to work, especially on a busy road like this, there's always some risk involved, but no one would have expected this. A cleanup crew clearing off Taunton Road, where a regular day at work for a utility crew instantly turned into an unforgettable tragedy.
They took something precious from us. You could never replace it.
Roderick Jackson's mother, the 36-year-old, was a technician on National Grid's gas operations team.
The most selfless man ever. The most selfless man.
We're always in traffic areas, and you guys see us every day out there. You guys know, slow down.
I heard them scream.
Joe Rodriguez says the crew was repairing a line in front of her home when she pulled in after work last night.
The respect that I have for them, they were working hard yesterday, and for that senseless act.
In a statement, the company said he was a highly respected, talented, and selfless teammate who worked extremely hard. His family in an emotional huddle outside of court, and for the suspect, these words.
Behind bars, he has a life. I don't have my son. He took our treasure. Unforgettable. Unforgivable.
Two other National Grid workers were injured. I also spoke with mother of one of them. She said he is recovering, but of course, he's also heartbroken. Live in Waltham, Christina Hager, WBC News.
A lot of emotion.
it's so sad. So please pray for that family. Please pray for that family, y'all. There are several other stories on newsfactsnc.net. I'm just going to read the headlines so that we can get to our special report. There's a new COVID variant spreading in the United States. Okay. The confirmed case of COVID was detected in a man in Wuhan, China again. Okay. So, but now the variant is spreading to the United States. Scientists detected a variant of SARS-CoV-2 that seem alarmingly compatible to infecting mass amounts of people, breaking through immunity acquired from previous infections and vaccines. So as they are ramping up, y'all, I told y'all last week that President Biden has said that he's going to do everything he can to bring the economy back by investing in medical supplies. Now they're ramping up with another COVID variant. So just be aware of that. Be careful where you eat at. Be careful, who's sneezing in your face and how close you're standing to people. Protect your family. Then another news story is there's a scam in California involving Target gift cards. It's the holidays. I know some of you all still participate in the Christmas thing. So just be careful if you're in the Sacramento, California area from receiving a gift card from, loved ones. It may be a scam. The sheriff office is warning shoppers of buying gift cards during this holiday season. One other story. There's a class action suit, a class action settlement with Bank of America. Customers have 12 days to file exclusion in the $500,000 settlement stemming from late night debit collection messages. If Bank of America contacted you in the middle of the night talking about they want to collect on the debt, then you are could be potentially a participant in this class action suit. Check out details online about how you can waive exemption or be a part of it, that part. But now, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to do is move on to the latest and greatest that happened this weekend. And before I do that, and before I bring up Major TV, I want to let you all know that it was circulated on social media almost immediately after we had our live session on last Saturday regarding who's next. In fact, where you're at, New Black Panther Party, and who you with, Hebrew. We did that live segment. It was a very beautiful build. And immediately after that, I saw this on Instagram. In fact, is now recruiting. In fact, says there is power in unity. NFAC is recruiting. Join, in fact, at proton.me. So I'm thinking that's how you join Proton. That's how you join in fact by doing join in fact at proton.me. And I forgot to like the video, and you can see this on IG, and there's their web page, their IG Instagram page, the in fact 444 on IG. Now, speaking of in fact, we had our brother Major TV do a response to the live that we did on last Saturday night, where we had several members of InFact come up and express that InFact is yet still well and alive. They're doing their thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I did not show it. Hold up. Let's go back. I looked over there and I saw myself. I was like, wait, hold up. I forgot to show it. I forgot to turn it on. Here it is. NFAC. There is power in unity. NFAC is recruiting. Join, in fact, at proton.me. That's where you can go if you're interested in joining. In fact, here's their Instagram page, the _, in fact, at 444. All interested parties should contact them at this email address, join in fact at proton.me. Okay, so now let me share this tab. Very well, I see it now. Okay, so Major TV did a response to the live that I did on Sunday night. Yeah, I believe it was Sunday night. Sunday night, at any rate. I did a video in response to Go Black to Africa asking what you're going to do when they come for your leaders. Basically, that was it. And he mainly spoke about IUIC, Israel United in Christ. And in that video, he also mentioned NFAC. And from that, because Major TV was so heavily involved in, I would say, promoting NFAC and reporting on NFAC, he felt compelled to do a special report from his experience with NFAC. And from that, we got a lot of people that were not too happy with the brother's decision to speak out, and particularly the title of his special report. Why GMJ failed NFAC in the Black community? So joining us now today is Major. This was supposed to be a special report, but because all of the back and forth that went on when he posted the premiere that took place on yesterday, he had to speak, quelch the brewing, and it just roared even more so over the course of the day. Videos to his premiere. His premiere came out and he got over 1,000 views. So which brings us to where we are today with this. Did NFAC fail? And why were so many people interested in hearing what Major TV had to say? Over 1,000 views in less than 24 hours. So we're going to hear from Major right now. Before we play his response to the response, if y'all follow me, it was crazy yesterday. So let's welcome in Major TV. Shalom, my brother.
Salute.
So we're here once again, right? Once again, we're here. And, you know, I thought that we were not going to meet together like this until tonight. But, you know, we did the thing yesterday afternoon. Had to be done. So, you know, and then after the premiered, man, I looked at the comments and I was like, I've never seen that many comments from a post or a premiere. And since I don't know when, like we normally don't get that many comments. So that perked my ears like, well, what is really going on? Did people really think that NFAC failed, or that GMJ failed? In fact, I thought we had put everything to rest to bed with the commanders coming in on last Saturday. But Major, your premiere, brother, it sparked a flame in a lot of people. So I know that you put out a response from yesterday's backlash. But before we get into a portion of that, just tell the people, why did you feel compelled to do a response to the response of the response? If you follow me.
First and foremost, peace and blessings, all praise to the Most High. Good day and positive vibration to everybody. Thank you for having this platform. My reason was simple. I knew what happened. I was there. I seen a lot of stuff. I kept my silence, and I'm still not as vocal about it. But when I see people try to defend certain things, always trying to give explanation, everybody know. Anybody got eyes can see the missteps, the mistakes, the stuff I televised on that premiere was all documented videos that was on YouTube. I was only reiterating what was already going on. I was only sharing what already had happened. People was mad because, and why people draw to me, because I was the only person who had 3 interviews with him and met him physically during the interviews. It wasn't no virtual thing. I was the only person that spoke about him from a media standpoint that went to formation, right? I'm the only person that when he called me and he asked me to do something, I did it on a strength, not because I was a member, not because I was scared of him, not because I thought he was all that. I just seen what he was doing, right? And I don't know why, but let me get this straight before I say anything. I don't care who you are. You all are my equal. All my equal. Now, if I'm in a situation where there's ranking over me, then that's different. I learned a long time ago, and I'm going to share information with you. You never in your life put nobody above you. Because when you do that, that's when you won't be respected. That's when you will be taken lightly. And I'm not speaking about in a situation like military and whatever. I'm talking about we're meeting people. We're meeting people. Everything he talked about, I knew that and more. You know what I'm saying? I get it. A lot of us were sleeping on the rock. I get it. We didn't hear what Malcolm was talking about. We don't know about the nation. We don't know about Marcus Garvey. We don't know about Fred Douglass. We don't know about Martin Delaney. We don't know about the Black Panther Party. We don't know about Black Liberation. We don't know about Garvey, Eugene Long. We don't know about Mikhail Johnson. We don't know about people that's been doing it. We don't know about Name Akbar. We don't know about Carl G. Wilson. We don't know about John G. Johnson. We don't know about a bunch of these black people or melanated people that challenged the Europeans when they were lying about history and about Egypt and Africa. We don't know that, I guess. I guess we in our 50s and 60s don't know no better. I get it. That's why you have all the Tariqs, Umars, and all of them coming out there talking, trying to teach y'all. But this stuff been out there. You had a brother by the name of Doctor, because you want to use the word doctor a lot. You had a brother called Dr. Jawanji Kanjafu that talked about the experience to destroy black boys, that talked about black economics. But we don't talk about that. That we're in the school system, right? To teach teachers how to teach kids. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about John Henry Clark and how he brought Dr. Chuck Anthony Diop, who is the godfather of history and anthropology and what have you, and how he took on the Europeans and showed them that Egyptians was melanated people and had them extract mummies, took their melanin out and proving that they were melanated people. But guess what? Years later, they put it under, they swept in the rug until you met the great Dr. John Henry Clark that brought him to life, that brought him out, helped him get all his book publishing and all that. We don't know about that, right? Which is documented. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how much he was in Malcolm X. So I'm sorry for getting so far ahead of all this. But what I'm trying to say is this. They act like this was the only person that knew something. You had people been speaking that we wasn't doing that. New Black Panther Party, after everything was done, they were still pulling up. I seen them with guns. We never responded. We forgot about the Jasper, Texas thing with that brother James Byrd, when they dragged them by the damn truck and everything. We didn't know the Black Panther Party was out there with guns. And they kind of had to beg them not to, get involved. They got a movie about the Jasper, Texas thing by James Byrd. Where were we at? A lot of these are older people. These are not young people. I get it. I get it. A lot of times we are Johnny come late, and that's cool. Sometimes we be a part of the movement, sometimes we're not. But in the day, let's not make it seem like this haven't been out there. It is still out there. Whether he was present or not, it's still out here, and we're still not responding. And some
so my brother, you're saying a lot, and I think that you probably need to do another video, because you're spitting out names that I didn't know about, right? But I think that what people really want to know is that, do you respect Grandmaster Jay for what he did accomplish? And secondly, do you believe that, in fact, though we can't see that they're active right now, we had many that attest to the fact that they are still active. They're just laying low and working behind the scenes. do you think that they can be a formidable presence in the future?
First and foremost, you finished?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'm gonna play your.
I won't answer the poll about respect, because I respect anybody. I respect a bum. I respect a child. I respect anybody. So with me, I don't play the respect and disrespect thing. Like I take that serious. So I respect anybody. I respect anybody, because anybody can know something. Anybody can hurt you. Anybody can be anybody and do anything. So it's not a thing about respect. It wasn't about what he did, and it wasn't about if he did something that I found that was so noteworthy, whereas it shouldn't get attention. I spoke about it, so I don't know how to respond to that question, because I kept it going when nobody wasn't talking about it no more.
And I guess the elephant in the room is to make it clear in one sentence, why do some feel like, because I read these comments, why do some feel like you fell off or were cut off from NFNC? One sentence.
I don't give a damn.
Okay, that's
because you gotta realize when you're a giant out here, when you walk tall, when you go around complete strangers with guns, not once or twice with no weapon or not, defend yourself when people making fun of you, talking crazy to you, saying you can take this, you can take that. But when you respond, it's all emotional. But I don't give a damn. You gotta realize I just on my own buck. I dropped my balls and went out there when people didn't do that. You got people that were still doing formations, still wasn't coming out there like that. I went out there. So reject me how? You got to realize I never contacted him. I went out there and he called me to come with him. It was never about him.
Let's leave it right there. So this is your response this is your response that you did. And I'm telling you all, you can go to Major TV. Let's talk on YouTube to see the full response. I'm not going to play the full response, but I just want the audience to get the gist of where you're coming from. And this was fresh off the dome this morning. I was really surprised to see it. I was just really surprised to see it. I thought we had put this to bed, but I can understand why you had to say something after getting all the responses that you did.
Can I say something?
Go ahead. I mean, it's bigger than, I think this is bigger than what we really realize because of the response that you got.
Listen, this is where we missing the boat at, and I hope you're not missing it. It never was about GMJ. In fact, the reason why I'm speaking and doing what I'm doing is about our people. It's about our people that's spewing nonsense, that's causing division among groups and people, causing people not to support this one or that one because of a critique of what somebody don't like. People don't people don't even know me, right? Long as I was a Johnny friendly Bob, how your boy say, go along, get along, it was cool. But whenever I disagree was the issue. I've never been a yes man. Have I conceded? Have I kept my silence? Have I let stuff go? Yeah, because I am thinking and processing things, right? But it's not about GMG. It's not about an infect. It's about the people. That's why I'm doing it. I don't know why, like people know me. It's just the very thing in them and what they've been told about me. Because when somebody tells something about you ain't, you this and you that, don't mess with Cody, I mean, you can't think. Somebody thinking for you. So I'm sorry for going on with this, but it never was about them. And I told y'all the reason why I really did it, it was for the people.
Roger that. I feel you. So let's go ahead and take a listen in a few minutes of what you have going on here.
You could have been known that this man was not coming and named the Most High like most people saying. And if you don't want to know, I am getting a lot of phone calls from, in fact, former members. I ain't gonna rat nobody out. I can say more. You see how people tune in and got on certain people, but that was saying all kind of crazy stuff, making threats and what have you. We are going insane in a certain part of our community, not the whole community. I'm not talking about the whole community. But the problem is there is so much chaos and turmoil and the black community that when you got stuff going on like this, where you say it was about helping the people getting on, it was about putting our foot down, making it be known, educating our people. We're not doing it. And the people who are doing it, you don't like them. You know why? Because they're protesting. You know why? Because they establish a business in your community. They investing in real estate. They creating film studios. They graduating from HBCUs and different colleges and stuff, and either start their own business or go work in a Fortune 500 company, right? That you don't agree with, right? But then that's changing the culture gradually and the mindset. We're dealing with a system, not white people, a system that was created by white people, right? And we have to know how to dismantle that. When Neely Phillips said what he said, it was facts. He said the reason why you work in the government so long, he said, how are you going to be able to defeat the enemy if you don't know nothing about the enemy? We keep wanting to separate. We're seeing people separating what they did, right? My thing is, I'm not against it, but at the same time, it has to be done intelligently. Now, I'm being told that this is going on right now, according to what's been mentioned to me, that they have a nation of people, they need the numbers, they getting organized and what have you, right? I'm observing that. But we on the clock big time. And if we keep on playing, we ain't gonna be talking about self-determination. We ain't gonna be talking about no black people, we're gonna be talking about surviving. And guess what? It's gonna be survival of the fittest. People will get killed over a bottle of water. People will get killed over little food. People will get killed for clothing. People will get killed for shelter. We just don't realize that we're in a day and age whereas we're playing with a dangerous, dangerous game right now. And for those who are spiritually inclined, you better start reading and identifying with spirits. You can't talk about the world about to end, but don't realize the world end. It don't mean that everything's gonna just be all ashes. You know, there gonna be still people around surviving and moving around, right? Nobody know when it's gonna happen and so forth and so on. We just know it's gonna happen. But what I know, in the meantime, I'm still struggling.
So, my brother, you bring up a very valid reality check for all of us. We have to get out of this mindset of living in the bubble. There are things that's happening around us that we have to start paying attention to, but we're sometimes blinded to those things because we're too busy doing the in-house fighting. That's, to me, is sometimes not necessary. Like I said on Saturday, we can agree to disagree, but at the same time, just because I disagree with you, I can still love you and will fight for you regardless. So I came across this other brother that and he's my what do you call it, my YouTube content creator of the week, right? I came across his content and his name is @Mr. Real Talk. Not quite sure if you guys are familiar with him, but if you're not, please go and subscribe to his channel. Major, I want you to take a listen to what he says because it's falling in line with exactly what you said. And I believe he posted this 2 days ago. But exactly what you're saying and what he's alluding to is the same thing. And when you talk about spirits, this is the spirit where we all need to be recognizing and you know, paying attention to and aligning ourselves with. Let me go ahead and switch to that video and then I'll come back for your response to it. Once again, go over to Mr. Real Talk, subscribe to his channel, and then you can watch this video in its entirety. But listen to what the brother says. I'm gonna play a couple of minutes of it. Just listen to what he says.
But somehow the most powerful one of all, according to Christians and the church, JC, he gets beat up by his enemies, and then he tells you not to fight back as well. He wants you, and that's why black people, so-called black people, have been getting abused for hundreds and hundreds of years. You following JC. You're not following your God. In Psalms 144, he told you the Most High God teaches your hands to fight, not to turn the other cheek and get beat up. Okay? But that's that slave doctrine. That's that Christianity right there. Too weak, too lazy to do their research on the doctrine of discovery, which was first implemented in 1453 by Pope Nicholas V, who told the church and all European nations to go worldwide and to find country who's now being ruled by Christians, and to take the country from them, put the people into slavery, kill them, do whatever you want to do to the people, as long as you can turn a profit, as long as you can make money. Take all of their movable and immovable objects. That's what the Pope did. That's what the church did. So the next time some person try to tell me about church, ask them, do they know about the doctrine of discovery that was started by their church? And you know what they're going to do? They're going to try to ignore it. That's what black people do. They ignore facts, even though it's right in front of their black face, because they're black. Understand, Hebrew, when you're black, that means you're going to be dumb and stupid by default. And I don't care whose feelings get hurt by this. This is not a channel catered to your feelings. We don't care about your feelings around here. I care about people being saved from the destruction that's coming. To speak of the destruction that's coming, like I said, the eclipse is coming next year in April the 8th, 7 years apart from the eclipse we had in 2017. Can you guys already see how much more worse off the world is since that eclipse in 2017? What do you think is going to happen when this next eclipse comes up in April? Huh? And back in 2017, the 400 years hadn't ended yet. But since that eclipse, the 400 years has came and ended. Now we get ready to have another one. What do you guys think that means out there? And if you're still thinking that you're black, of course, more than likely, you're not going to understand anything I'm saying. All this stuff is going to go right over your head because you're black. When you're black, your brain can get in. No light can get in. Only blackness.
So to hear more of what that brother had to say, please go to his channel. It's called Mr. Real Talk. Now, Major, he mentioned something about the coming destruction. Is that what you're alluding to? What we'll be talking about with the collapse of the dollar, the war that's about to break out, and the destruction of the black family continually, even through the school system? Is that what this brother is prophesying on coming for us as a community in 2024? Real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I believe a lot of things he's saying. Yes. I mean, listen. For me, I don't push my spirituality too much. I allow people to be who they are. As long as they understand and they can read. Because, like I told you, I love what Charleston White said. I vibe off of a person's spirit. You know what I'm saying? I vibe off the revelations that the Most High sent me. Somebody asked, like for instance, they asked in the chat, what kind of militia block? I don't think we need no militia. We got guns. I think we just need to organize and create a society where we can have not just a militia, but a police and a military and what have you. But I don't like talking like that online. See all that stuff y'all doing, talking to white folks watching you. And when they snatch you up, you can't cry. You got guns. You just don't want to use them, but you use them on yourself. You got the money. You got the means. You got the intelligence. You just don't exercise it. You don't have to. When you structure something, like when you look at cities, right? You're going to have a mayor, and the mayor going to set up everything. War department, lights, whatever, police station, what have you. The state going to make sure they got National Guard, and the federal government make sure they got on Fed. We not big like them in this country. We big like them in the world. But we have to start off small. When we think all this talking, all this, that, and other. Listen, the Constitution says, which I don't know who you believe in, not, because a lot of things we be saying don't do whatever. You can bear arms, and black people been bearing arms. Black people been shooting guns. See me, I was taught to never pull out a gun unless you're going to use it.
That's
you
right.
Know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Before it was in fact, I remember a black man beat up a white man with a fucking gun. Excuse my friend. And beat up a white man for beat up a white man behind him messing with a black lady. Before there was black militias. I know black men did things, Before there was black lynchings, I remember 2 black men shot up some police for killing black people. The problem is when you're talking about militias, you got to become organized. You can't be that fool's that would happen with NFNC and these gun clubs. That was ridiculous. They just started. When Elijah Muhammad started the Nation Islam and he dispatched Malcolm to build all them temples around the country or the mosques around the country, Malcolm was around for years before he got killed.
He was
Was
protected
well established before they called him a traitor.
He was well protected, and I think that's the issue that we're lacking right now is protection for our people in this hour, and therein lies the problem.
That's not true. You have protection. You just don't use your guns.
Organized.
Everybody got guns. I got guns in my house. Listen, bro. We not organized the people to be talking like this. That's why I fell apart. Is we not organized for somebody to jump out and say, let's do this, that, another, and then none of the people get behind them. Just a portion of the nation. Just a portion of the nation. You know, other countries speaking here now. When you look at the members of NFNC everywhere, there was only a handful in UK, handful over here, and he talking about you got the ear of the world. No, people are watching to see what's going on because it's brand new to this day era. We got guns. Right. We just not organized. That's all. That's why we talking about the voting thing and what have you. That's when all that come into place. But no one man and one woman say, bam, let's do this. It's going to happen. Malcolm was not protected when he did that. Elijah Muhammad went door to door and established the name. He didn't have no guns. Malcolm, they just went out there on faith. And by the grace of the Most High, blessed them and created what they created. I'm saying, but there's no excuse for some. You got to realize, they was organized. Malcolm always speak. Malcolm created ministers everywhere he went. They had captains everywhere. They created a system. In fact, it had no system like that. They didn't have no.
I think this is what I'm going to say right now. I think that from what I can see, NFNC was organized, and I'm going to tell you why. Right now, they are receiving orders to lay low and to stand down in any engagement where NFNC is brought to the forefront because of the situation with Grandmaster Jay. Now, that to me takes discipline, i.e. organization. They're all on the same code, and I salute that. On the flip side of that, what they provided are the frameworks of what they provided is so still needed today to bring awareness to all of these cases where we're still being abused and used out here in these streets. And so I think therein lies the disconnect, because we're in need of an NFNC, but the NFNC organization has been basically, I'm not going to say silence, because they said that they're still moving. They're just moving in the background, and they're not moving under the name of NFNC.
Sweetheart, I know personally. You know what I'm saying? You're talking to somebody that know personally, but you're talking to somebody that know personally that was there. I can put you on phone with people.
I'm not talking about the past. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying, listen, I'm saying.
I'm not talking about the past. I am talking about the here and now.
You don't know though. You don't know. These
all I can do is
don't know,
Cody. Listen to me.
You're speaking for somebody you don't know.
All I can do is go by what the people have said. Those people who are said they're in fact generals and they're taking orders from the commander. That's all I can go by. That's all that we have. So with that being said, we as a people who are not part of the NFNC, but look to the NFNC for protection, because that's what the militias do. They protect. We're saying that
you're looking for that. I'm not looking for that. I don't need that. You need that. I don't need that. I'm just saying I don't need that.
But obviously, listen to what I'm saying. Obviously, there is a need to know about whether or not NFNC is a failure or if they're a success.
They failed. Based
on. But wait a minute. Listen to what I'm saying.
Cody.
People are still interested in finding those things.
Well, I'm not talking about it no more. Y'all can talk about. I'm done with it.
All right, we good. All right then, my brother. I do appreciate you coming on. And once again, people, go to Major TV and hear his full response to the premiere that he had on last night. This response was the realest stuff I've ever heard before, regardless to if you like Major or not. What he said was a mouthful, and it was impactful, and I felt the sincerity in it. And if we can just get past our differences and just hear each other out, then I think that we would be much, much better for it. Thank you again, my brother, for coming in and expressing yourself. You know, I love you with the love of Yahuwah, and we'll talk again soon, of course. My brother, be strong and be blessed.
Always. Peace.
Shalom. Okay, people. Now, speaking of the militias, right? We already told you that there is power in unity. In fact, is recruiting, right? We already told you guys that. So make sure that you go to Instagram and follow them. Join InFact at proton.me if you're interested in becoming an InFact member. In addition to that, on tonight, in almost 30 minutes, I am going to have a discussion about our options. We do have options. Earlier this week, I did breaking news story about the elections for reparations. And it's a simple text to 1-877-506-2184. When you text this number, they're going to ask you a series of 5 questions. You answer those questions accordingly, and bam, you have casted your votes. Now, some are saying that this was just a preliminary vote. It's not the real thing. You know, some had questions as to, how they're going to know who you are. Blase, blase. My response is that, with the day of age and technology, your telephone number is tied to your Google account and all of this stuff. Your Google account is tied to your Facebook, your YouTube, and all of that. Trust me, they have their ways of knowing who you are. And if this is just a preliminary run, let it be so. We run out there to these different mayoral races and governor races and presidential races and congressional races, and we vote for these people that we do not know. Half of them don't even look like us, and the ones that look like us do not have our best interests in heart. Because if they did, that vote for reparations that's been sitting in the House of Representatives for decades would have made its way to the Senate floor, and we've had control of the House of the House of Representatives several times throughout the years, and has never made its way to the Senate floor. So something is very, very wrong with our Congressional Black Caucus. So if you can spend your time to cast your vote for them, then you can definitely pick up your phone that I know that everybody has in the United States and text reparations to 877-506-2184. Now tonight I'm going to delve into all of these nations that's within a nation. How many of you know about the Afro-descendant nation? This is a nation that's representing us. I'm an Afro-descendant from the Tika Empire, the Congo, right? I know that from doing DNA. A lot of people will say, oh, we don't do DNA thing, right? But I mean, when your people get the results back and you 97% Congolese from the Tika Empire, that's saying something. So yes, I'm an Afro descendant, but that doesn't mean that I don't see my brothers and sisters who were already here in the Americas prior to the ethnic war that took place in 1619. Or some say it goes all the way back to the 1400s when the Pope, like the brother was explaining, when the Pope gave the decree to go out and conquer the world. and in the process enslaved us, which was a war against the ethnic people of the lands of Africa, South America, and America. I'm an Afro-descendant, and I still have love for my brothers and sisters that was here in the land prior to, because why? We all became political prisoners of war. We all are political prisoners of the war that took place when they took us and enslaved us. That's what we all have in common, whether you were aboriginal to the land or you came from West Africa, you came from Spain, you came from the Caribbean. What we all have in common is that they enslaved us and made us a part of their war. They want to say it's a transatlantic slave trade. Who were they trading with? They were capturing people and enslaving people and forcing them into labor with no pay. So that's why I want to highlight the Afro-descendant nation. They have a whole government in place, a whole government in place with the ideal of obtaining reparations and exercising with those reparations our right to self-determination as declared by the UN. In addition to that nation, there's also a provisional government Republic of New Africa. I know for a fact that this organization has been around since the 50s, 60s, and they're still asking people to sign on. Did you know that? And they just had an election for their governing body in October. Did you know that? In fact, has a nation, I'm not quite sure about their governing body yet, because I was not able to obtain that information, because like I said, this organization has been infiltrated by the government and seized their leader. And so since that, they have to remain and do everything behind closed doors and be very cautious about what information they let out. But I am very curious to know what that government structure looked like. And it's called the United Black Kemetic Nation. That's a nation of people. So we have choices. And tonight at 7 o'clock, in less than 30 minutes, we're going to dive into each one of the organizations, including the Republic of Detroit, that's ran by was spearheaded by Ramzu Yunus, human rights policy officer that knows the UN, United Nations human rights policies backwards and forwards, upwards and down, in the quest to helping his people achieve a right to self-determination, a right to be governed by whom you see fit, not their choices. I was told a long time ago, the president of the United States is not elected, but selected. They give you two choices. That's not really a choice. I'm bringing to you some more choices. So you choose who you're going to be with, but stop spinning your wheels operating in the same framework with these American ideals that has gotten us nowhere, on a train to nowhere fast. So join me tonight, 7 p.m., less than 30 minutes on, I forgot which platform. I think I'm doing it on all platforms, right? So news, facts, and comments. Maybe not news, facts, and comments. I think I'm doing it on Okoti Speaks and Major TV. I'm going to be the host, navigating. We're going to walk through all of these programs, all these organizations together, and you decide. The people decide where you want to stand. But I tell you one thing, what I see, all these different organizations are going to come together under one umbrella, and we shall get those reparations, and we shall obtain our right to self-determination. Because if all of us defect and stop participating in a scam of elections, they're not going to have no choice. They're not going to have a choice. And with that, my people, I say salute to everyone who's been in the chat. I appreciate your comments. I was not able to read your comments, but I see that they're pouring in. I want y'all to join me back here in less than 30 minutes so that we could talk about all these different nations that are right here, nations within the nations, and we don't know what they're about. Some of us may, and I know some of us, a lot of us do not. So let's go down and do the research on these and see which one best suits you and your family, because we all gonna need some type of protection, some type of united front to combat what the pressure coming towards us in the future. And so with that, I want to go ahead and just shut my mouth, because I can go on and on. I'm gonna save it for tonight at 7 as I go and refresh and get something to drink, something to eat. But I do want to thank y'all once again. Also, don't forget, on Monday, 7 p.m., for those of you who can't join me again, 7 p.m. on Monday, we're going to talk about Palestine and why that's important to you. This is News, Facts, and Comments Sunday Wrap Session, and that's a wrap.
One for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this town. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are now tuned in to the greatest. The greatest of all time. The greatest of all time. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be better. I'm gonna be better. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready. 4, let them know that we run this town. 1 for the money, you know what it is. 2 for the show, yeah, we shut it down. 3 just to make sure you ready.